Hello everyone and welcome to PostGrad Movies. I'm Cool Guy, that's the Cognitive Gamer, and I'm going to start off with a story that I totally forgot last week. So, when I was in X-Men Days of Future Past, I completely forgot to tell you, but for some reason, the entire theater was packed, right? But
Okay.
there was like this little kid in the middle of the theater and he was holding a balloon in the theater. And all of a sudden, during one of the climactic sequences when all of the actual Sentinels started popping out in the middle of the storm and flying towards the X-Men, you remember that part?
Yes.
Storm made the giant storm, lots of ships crashing against each other, Sentinels got dropped, and they were like flying towards the X-Men.
Yeah.
That basic scene. So
Yeah.
that was happening, and then all of a sudden, off the corner of my eye, I see this shining object floating in the air. And in my mind of minds, the first thing that I think of is,
Did you see the movie in 3D?
no, I didn't, which was really funny that I thought for a second that it was Sentinels. But that was the first thing I thought. I was like, Sentinels. And I look over and it was the balloon floating in the air and getting hit by all of the different colors that were coming from the projector. And it was great because there were at the very least 15 other people in the theater just like me. Because I looked up at the balloon and I was like, I had that face, and then I looked down and there were like 15 other people looking up at the balloon with that face.
Maybe they thought it was a terrorist attack.
Probably, I don't know. And then there was just silence in the theater, and then everyone went like, haha, and they like nervously laughed. They were like, oh yeah, I didn't think those were Sentinels. That was okay. It's cool. There's a movie going on. So a balloon interrupted my X-Men Days of Future Past, and everyone thought it was a Sentinel.
I saw it in 3D. It was pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, I know you did. I know you
Okay,
did.
so did the balloon get in the way of actually get in the way of the movie, or?
No, not really. It just happened so fast because the balloon just floated up into the ceiling. This all was approximately like maybe 5 seconds max.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah.
Well, since you're already, knees deep into your week, how about you just continue? What else did you do this week?
Well, let me see. This week, I basically did a lot of video editing and all that jazz for important things and whatnot. And I also took my brother and his girlfriend around the island to hang out for a little bit, which was nice. And actually, the really funny thing that happened was that I took them to the aviary so that they could see the Puerto Rican parrots. And
Wait, the endangered Puerto Rican parrots?
yeah,
The ones that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars?
yes, those.
Can I have one?
No, you can't have one. You
Can I have
already
all of them?
you already asked this before. You
I
can't
know,
have
and I want to steal them, and then we do Ocean's 11, but with parrots.
I was gonna say, how do those two line up? But once you added the parrots thing, it makes sense. Though the great thing was that when I went over there, I
Yeah.
was greeted by the person that got me into the project and whatnot, and she was talking to them about the parrots. But while we were walking around, she started talking to me and saying, like, I had this dream about you, which was weird in general that I was having a dream about you. And I was like, okay, go on. And she said,
All your clothes fell off.
no. It's even better. It was apparently a dream about her having a conversation on the phone with me, and I was telling her that I was mad and upset because she didn't treat me right, and that I wasn't gonna come to the aviary anymore and help. And she was all sad and she wanted to cry. And she was hugging me the entire time, and she was like, I'm sorry. I don't know if I was being a bitch to you the whole time. I just want you to stay. And I was like, whoa, what is it with people and feeling bad about dream people? You know what I mean? Because like I don't know if it's just some of the girls that I know or some of my girlfriends that have done this, but they have a dream and the me in the dream or them in the dream does something, and when they wake up they're pissed at me even though it wasn't me.
Yeah, I have that all the time. Lady A has dreams about me, of me like cheating on her or taking her off, or eating her food, and then she gets mad at me when I wake up.
Right.
I'll get text messages like, I'll be in Philly, and I'll get text messages like, "You're such an asshole." I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck? I just woke up."
That is hilarious. But it's so true. Honestly, though, it's not a sexist thing. It's just that I've never experienced a dude getting mad at me for something Dream Me did to them in a dream.
Because dreams are meaningless.
I
Okay, what really ticks me off is when somebody decides to change their entire life based off a dream, because dreams are completely meaningless.
Well, I mean, unless it's a good thing, if they're changing their life in a good way.
Yeah, but it's still based off a dream. I mean, good for them for changing their life. But if it's based on a dream, that's like changing your mind off of a psychotic illusion. I don't know.
A lot of people do that when they take drugs.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that.
You sound like you're talking from experience.
No, totally not. Well,
Cool guy.
I am.
Aren't you cool? What would cool guy do? Cool guy would probably have a cigarette and like a marijuana cigarette, and then like acid at the same time.
I mean,
or like petting unicorn.
I would start with about 5 marijuanas, and then I would work up to an LSD.
Can we just say that you said 5 marijuanas?
That was.
I also said marijuana cigarette. We are the epitome of awesome. If they were to build a statue in our honor, it would be us in leather jackets and sunglasses back to back.
I think
with
that
a nightly
was
fireworks show.
The joke.
That's how cool we are.
Is the point.
Continue with your week.
No, I mean that was basically my entire week. It was pretty
How about PETA?
Uneventful.
How about the PETA bread?
Right. So the other thing I did this week was I got certified in how to ethically kill animals. I mean, how to ethically do experiments on animals as a scientist. And one of the stories that this guy was telling us was about not necessarily PETA per se, but like the fringe crazies from PETA that are just insane. And basically, what he was saying was that for one of the principal investigators, I think it was in Oregon, or something like
Oregon?
that. No, like Washington State University, something
Washington?
like that.
Yeah.
That one. So for one of those principal investigators, the actual
PI, as we like to call it in the biz.
The PI is correct. The actual crazy fringe people.
Wait, the fringe people? Like in the TV show?
Yes. So they disinterred the PI's mother. Like they went to a graveyard.
Okay.
They dug out the deceased mother.
Got it.
And they took the mother out of the coffin, the body of the mother.
Okay.
And they left the coffin in front of the PI's house with basically a sticky note on it saying, if you don't stop your investigation and release the animals, you will never see your mother again.
I mean, she's dead, so that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that is fully 100% messed up.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. I don't even know.
Did they take it to the next level where they opened it up and had like fog and like music playing?
That would have been funny. That would not have been. I don't think.
I don't think that would have been. Imagine if you saw your deceased mother do that.
Well, they didn't have the deceased mother in the coffin. It was just the coffin that she was laid in, but they took her body.
Oh, they stole her. Oh,
they
gross.
stole her body, and they left the coffin in front of his house with a note saying, if you don't stop all the investigation and stuff, you will never see your mother again.
So apparently, it's even worse in the UK.
Really?
Because animal testing in the UK is like really, really frowned upon.
Okay.
And apparently, like bomb threats are very common. You have to like keep your. It's pretty much held secret if you do research on animals. Like you have to keep the animals covered at all times. If transporting, you have to do it like without anybody else knowing.
Yeah.
Because there have been cases of like people putting bombs on people's cars.
That is insane.
Yeah. Now it might not be PETA, but animal activists for sure.
Right. I mean, the problem. See, I have a problem with that. Being a zoologist and an animal lover in general, I have a problem with that type of stuff because animal testing is a necessary evil, and we do our best to be as humane as possible in the way that we deal with it. People basically get the horror stories, but it's just like the scare tactics in the news media that they only show like the worst things that happen in the week and stuff like that when they don't show all the good. So animal testing regulation and all that stuff is very, very, very stringent, to the point where some scientific journals, a good amount of them, just
Mhm.
will not accept your paper if you don't have the proper permits for animal testing, or if you don't have the proper dosages necessary for certain animals. Like
Right.
it gets pretty intense, and the need to follow these rules to respect the animals is really damn high. And honestly, it kind of gives the image that these people kind of give scientists that are doing these investigations the image of just these horrible people that are stabbing needles into defenseless animals, you know?
Which, I mean, that's part of it too. Like, as in psychology, there's been quite a few studies on rodents where you have to like induce concussions, or you have to kill animals, and yeah, you do have to do that. But I mean, you have to weigh the options, right?
Yeah, and I mean it's also humane. It's not like we're just destroying them or whatever. It's humane euthanasia if necessary.
Yeah, I like to use a grade 2 type hammer with kind of like a ball, you know, area, end
Right.
when I whack the mouse in the head
Right. Yeah.
to give him a concussion.
Yeah.
I don't actually do that. I don't even work with mice. I hardly even work with people.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
but but
Anyway,
the point is, like, one of the things I also want to mention is the fact that the lab animals, most of them, okay, most of the lab animals we use have been bred for that, and they are almost genetically engineered to be clones, specifically mice. The mice we use,
mhm,
which is mus musculus, if I'm not mistaken, those mice are essentially clones of one another, because how else can you control for the differences in genetics? You can't. So you try and make them as cloney as possible. And whenever these people burst into labs, free all of the animals, and set them on fire,
okay.
they are inhumanely euthanizing these animals because they cannot survive outside in the world. They can't release them and have them be happy critters for the rest of their lives. Their immune systems will not work in the wild, and they will die.
That being said, when I was an undergrad at CSU, there's a thing called Roar, and I've picketed a carnival or two, or a
Well, yeah, but
yeah,
that's a carnival.
or a what do you call them? A circus. There you go.
Yeah, you're talking
Yeah,
about circuses. I'm talking
about lab animals. I
about
know.
lab animals, which are way, way, way different than circuses. But anyway,
Yeah,
I'm gonna end my week with a funny thing. So sometimes, depending on the
you
studies,
farted really loud.
no, the,
Eh.
depending on the studies you do, you might the most, I guess, the most inhumane way to euthanize an animal is through decapitation.
Yeah, that's
And
hilarious. That is. Oh my
no,
god.
just wait, just wait. It's
Oh god.
morbidly dark comedy. So anyway,
Eh,
that's the most humane way to euthanize an animal when you need to. That's like the last resort, depending on the type of study you're doing. So,
yeah.
for example, if you're doing studies with psychedelics or with any kind of chemicals inside their body, you can't euthanize them with a gas or with an injection or something, because that'll interfere with the chemical makeup in their brains and stuff like that. So, you got to be careful, and the only way to do it is to decapitate. So, they have this thing, right, that kind of looks like a funnel that they use to put frosting on cakes, like the triangular cone funnel thing.
Yeah, this is getting very dark very quickly.
So they have one of those, and you
Okay.
you put the mouse in so
All
that
right.
it, like, the head
Yeah.
doesn't move, and then you
Mhm.
can decapitate it very easily and very quickly, and there's no pain and yada yada. But the point is that one of the pictures they showed in the slideshow they had one of those, like, laid out on the table, and on the bottom left corner, it had the name for it, and the company had named it the Decapicone. Just wait, no, I'm not done yet. Just
Okay.
It was called the Decapicone, and it was called Decape with, like, capital D, Decape, and then when it got to cone was recapitalized, like the C was capitalized.
Right.
So it was like Decapicone, and then on the top right it said trademark TM.
Decapicone, Mark 11.
Decapicone TM. It was I saw that and I had to prevent myself from laughing. I don't know how nobody else picked up on that, but that was hilarious. I love that these people come up with names for their odd implements of death.
What I like to do when I have to euthanize a mouse is I like to go golfing, and I don't use golf balls. I use mice, same color. I just put them on the tee and just, hit them with the 9-iron.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as your procedure is okay and it's been looked at by your ethics board and stuff like
Yep.
that, and I mean, as long as
Yeah.
they go golfing with you and they can see that the mice are dying just as you hit them and they're not suffering, I'm pretty sure it'll be okay.
No, they suffer.
Oh, they suffer. I'm still
Yeah.
pretty sure it'll be okay because
Yeah.
scientists are evil.
I'm
Anyway,
kidding.
how was your week?
Funny that. I actually have trouble killing insects. Like, I actually feel really bad. Like, I went fishing the other day, and I had to hook a worm, and I was like, I'm sorry, worm. Yeah, I still did it, but I still feel really bad.
That's adorable.
End of that story. I'm really sensitive, and I don't take mice golfing, so don't set my car on fire.
Right.
There's something else I'm going to say. Actually, being at a Catholic university at St. Joseph's, apparently, it's very Christian and Catholic of you to respect animals and uphold their living to like a greater level.
Nice.
So I thought that was really interesting because you'd never think that.
Yeah,
I
totally.
didn't. Yeah. My week I've been with family, so I went swimming.
Nice.
In the pool at the beach. I visited with family. It's been pretty boring. I haven't been able to do anything really because of family.
Just pretty much run of the mill, hanging out, all that
Yeah.
does.
Like go and talk to them. But I've been wanting to play Mario Kart 8, which I have a little bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat Transistor, and I got like halfway. I wanted to record some things. I couldn't have time. It's been one of those weeks,
Right, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But luckily, I don't have a job
Yeah.
for a month or hopefully a lot shorter. So I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to do stuff.
Well, that'll be nice. And you are
Yeah.
leaving back for Colorado tomorrow, yeah?
Tomorrow, yes. I will be back in Colorado tomorrow, and I will be enjoying not sweating through all my clothes all the time.
Of course.
So, but what I did do this week is watch a lot of movies. So this week,
Oh, yeah.
it's X-Men: Days of Future Past again.
Nice.
Because all the other movies kind of sucked. So, IMDb gives this movie a.
Actually, the funny thing is, we were talking earlier between ourselves about watching A Million Ways to Die in the West or Maleficent, and we kind of didn't want to watch, I don't know, both of them kind of a little bit. So we were just going like, we might as well just watch X-Men again. And the funny thing was, I was really close to watching X-Men again because my brother wanted to see it. Because before he said that he didn't want to see it, but now he totally does. Anyway,
I'll probably see it with Lady A when I get home.
Right.
Actually, what comes out this week? Jump Street? I know I'm jumping ahead.
No, not Jump Street.
Are you sure?
No, Jump Street doesn't come out. The two main ones that are coming out are Edge of Tomorrow and The Fault in Our Stars.
Ooh, oh. That's... God, I'm going to probably have to see Fault in Our Stars, even though I really want to see The Edge of Tomorrow.
I'm going to see The Edge of Tomorrow because it's got phenomenal ratings as of now.
Yeah, but Lady A is obsessed with...
I'm aware. You told me that the only reason she made the Twitter was for the John Green.
Yeah. Also
to get more followers than you.
Oh, shut up. Also, she even bought the Fault in Our Stars soundtrack. Actually, I bought it for her, but...
Yeah, you're probably going to go see The Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Anyway,
well, it has decent ratings.
I'm sure it's a fine movie. I just would rather see Tom Cruise dying over and over again.
Yeah, Tom Cruise's Groundhog Day in the future.
Based on an anime that's not even out. Okay, time is short.
Okay,
so
let's go.
We actually saw Maleficent.
And we both saw Maleficent, and he saw A Million Ways to Die in the West. So let's get A Million Ways to Die in the West out of the way first, since you will be talking about it only.
Yeah.
So anyway, on IMDb, A Million Ways to Die in the West has a 6.4. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 33 with a 38 top critic score, and on Metacritic, it's got a 45%. It is directed by Seth MacFarlane, and it stars Seth MacFarlane, Charlize Theron, Amanda Seyfried, Liam Neeson, Neil Patrick Harris, Sarah Silverman, Giovanni Ribisi, and a lot of other people that I will not mention. So, what is your one-sentence review, my friend?
Not as funny as it could have been, but still worth a watch, not in a movie theater.
Okay.
So just like rented.
All right.
Or go to the Pandaria,
So talk to me about it. Like, was it exactly what I was expecting? Where they spoiled a lot of jokes in the actual thing, and it was going to end
No.
up being sort of like a Family Guy thing, where they use the excuse of A Million Ways to Die in the West to include a bunch of one-off gags.
Actually, it had a pretty cohesive story. It was interesting. It just wasn't anything new. It wasn't as funny as it possibly could have been. It seems like it really wanted to be raunchier,
Okay.
but it didn't go. It didn't go that far.
Oh, what do you mean by raunch here?
Like it
Because
could have been like the director's cut of this movie will probably be hilarious.
how come? How come? What do you expect from the director's cut? Because you're saying
A lot
raunchier.
more nudity, a lot more sight gags. Like I feel like they almost had to cut it short because it's still a movie in the movie theater.
Because the production house said, yeah, maybe remove that gag, or yeah, maybe not that kind of thing.
Right. Like I felt like there could have been a lot more one-offs, and in fact, I would have probably preferred it. Because some of the scenes seem to drag on a little bit too long, almost to fill time.
Right.
And I'm wondering if that's because of the editing that they had to do to make up for the lack of these other gags.
Right.
Or maybe it was just totally shallow. Who knows? I have a suspicion though that there was like tons of other scenes that they couldn't put in this movie
Right. Right.
because of raunchiness or whatever.
Isn't this movie almost 2 hours long or something like that?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's only an hour and a half.
Okay.
Like,
Because
barely.
if it was pushing 2 hours, I would think that that was a stretch.
Oh, it is almost 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Then that is a stretch for this type of a movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, some of the gags just went on. They could have easily cut off 10 to 20 minutes.
Right.
But again, it felt like a movie that had way more scenes to fill in. And I think the reason that it did go on that long, it didn't feel that long. I actually kind of enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I would have never saw it. I mean, I went on Stimulus Tuesday, so it was $5 movies.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, that was kind of worth it, and I was entertained. I thought it was better than I was expecting. I was also expecting garbage, but then again, I really like Ted. It's not as good as Ted.
Was Seth MacFarlane's acting bad?
No, it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the acting was actually because it felt very improv.
Oh, okay.
So it was just kind of like Seth MacFarlane talking.
Fair enough.
And the reason I say that a lot of the chemistry between him and the main woman,
Yeah.
who's
Charlize Theron.
right, seems very natural and kind of like he's making up the jokes on the spot, and then she's naturally laughing to react to it. So I mean, there must be cuts upon cuts upon cuts of just different jokes.
Yeah, him saying different things and stuff like that. Kind of this
Exactly.
is the end style.
Right. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened, and then I think it lost itself to editing, and then also trying to finish the story.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So no, I thought it was fine. I felt it was a little rushed at the end, and it lost itself to some editing, a little long in some areas, but then at some other, it just felt kind of short in others. I thought it wasn't bad.
Right.
That was
So what kind of a rating would you give it? Would you agree a bit more with the IMDb 6.4, Rotten Tomatoes 33, 38, or Metacritic 45?
probably Metacritic.
All right. So
4.5 to 5.
okay, gotcha.
So it's not complete garbage, as most people were expecting. I feel.
Right.
But
it
I
is
liked
still
Yeah.
nah, but it's still kind of like whatever.
it still had a lot of potential, and like I said, a director's cut of this movie I think would be just great.
Right.
So.
All right.
Yep. All right, move on.
So, moving on to Maleficent. On IMDb, it's got a 7.5. On Rotten Tomatoes, a 50 with a 49% top critic score. And on Metacritic, it's got a 55%. It is directed by Robert Stromberg, and it stars Angelina Jolie, Ellie Fanning, Charlton Copley, and Sam Riley, among a bunch of other people. Now, I should say that Robert Stromberg, he has never directed anything.
Right.
This is his first directorial debut. But
that's pretty good.
He is a world builder, so he basically did a lot of the art and a lot of the world building for stuff like Avatar and stuff like Life of Pi. So he's very good with the creation of crazy, beautiful worlds and creatures and special effects and all that jazz. So, with that out of the way, what is your one-sentence review?
It was very strong for his first movie. I thought it was actually better than what the reviews are giving it. I thought it was highly entertaining, and If you like shows like Once Upon a Time or Grimm, you're also going to like this movie.
Okay, that's actually a very good comparison.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
Like, which maybe you expect more from a movie, but then again, maybe not. I don't know. I thought it was highly entertaining. Again, so bear in mind, I saw this in IMAX 3D, so that may have added to the awesomeness.
Okay, so I did not watch this in IMAX 3D, and my one sentence review would be a good film that tried too hard
Yeah, I
to
can. Okay.
change the story and the characters. Because
See, but it felt like a TV drama, though.
right,
It totally felt like an episode of Once Upon a Time.
right. We will go into it afterwards. Like the reason why I say that, I will go into it afterwards. So let's start talking about it. But you're completely right. You're right.
Right.
It did feel like an episode of something that was turned into a movie instead. You're completely right.
Right. And, like, it's almost like they wrote this episode, and then they're like, oh, wait, this would be a great movie, and then they just picked it up.
Right, and I think one of the reasons why it felt that way was because of the sort of like one-off gags that they were doing, like the monsters throwing the mud or something that
Right.
happened twice, or when Maleficent was just sitting there looking at the three godmothers and just playing pranks on them.
Yeah, or it felt like that. It felt like different episodes were happening. I mean, there's a lot of character development in that movie. I mean, you're following the life essentially of two people
Yeah, right,
independently.
right. But at the same
At the same
time,
time, building a whole new universe and then trying to play homage. Like it's a pretty, there's a lot in there.
right. But the problem with it was that it was doing a lot of character development, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was doing the character development that well. Like
I completely agree.
sometimes it did it very well. Like when the
I think they
crow.
nailed Maleficent.
Yeah, oh definitely.
Oh
And
yeah,
and when
and the king.
and the crow. Are you kidding me? The
Oh,
crow's character?
yeah, I mean, yeah.
He
I
was a
think
well.
they
I think the reason why they nailed the crow's character really well was because for the first time you saw like how one of the minions was like good.
right.
Because I think what it really encapsulates his goodness in general was when the godmothers were sleeping and he flew in, like gave her a pacifier and
Right.
started like rocking her actual crib. Like that was such a cool little
I mean,
scene.
he played with Sleeping Beauty
Right.
when she was older. I think they really messed up Sleeping Beauty's part, but maybe that's because they figured there's already a movie about her.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I've never seen Sleeping Beauty,
What? You
so
haven't?
no.
Huh. Well,
It's like the one Disney movie I haven't seen.
basically they completely rewrote the actual idea. And I'm going to go into spoilers right now for Maleficent, so be careful. So,
Right, like Maleficent actually. I played Kingdom Hearts. That's probably as close as I've gotten to actually watching Sleeping
right.
Beauty.
Well, I mean, basically, Maleficent in the actual movie, she tries to stop the dude, the prince, from going and actually kissing Sleeping Beauty, and she does that by turning into the dragon. First, she kidnaps her, then she's somewhere else, and then she kidnaps the dude. He escapes. She turns into the dragon, fights the guy, but he kills her. That's the
Right,
story.
right,
However, what they were trying to do in this Maleficent movie was sort of rewrite the story. Say the story that you saw in that movie, the story that you saw in Sleeping Beauty is not correct.
right.
That's not what happened. That's like
I know.
oral tradition told by the people that won, maybe, or something like that, or by the people that lost. The way that it actually did happen was that Maleficent didn't turn into a dragon. She
Crow
just got
did.
her wings back, and her minion turned into a dragon. It was stuff like that. It was just small changes that may have been exaggerated by others.
Right.
And yeah, like it was that kind of a thing where they were trying to rewrite the initial story, but not
Right.
really.
But also, okay, another thing, the narrator, which was supposed to be Sleeping Beauty, that was stupid. They
Yeah.
should have just got rid of the narrator.
Yeah,
altogether.
it felt really weird.
Yeah. Especially at the end where it's like, big reveal, I'm actually Sleeping Beauty. I'm like, when did you actually even hint at that at all? It was totally random and out of place.
And I would know. Because I am Aurora.
Which is weird because it's a place in Colorado.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so Sleeping Beauty's character was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is it to her, I guess, you know?
Right, yeah, like she was
No,
just a
Dakota
visage of
Fanning's
purity.
sister, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
That was the most interesting piece about her. Who played her? Okay, so I thought the directing was good. The script writing was okay. The acting by Maleficent was great.
The special effects were fantastic, but
Again, you have to see this in IMAX. I'm honestly going to say it. Like, this was an IMAX movie. I think watching this on a screen any smaller would have been kind of lame.
like the thing is, the problem I have with the recent Disney live action films is that, or at least the Disney live action films that have to do with prequels or sequels of their classic stories,
CGI.
like they are riddled, with CGI. And the thing is, I love CGI. If you've heard any of my rantings, or if you know me and all that, I always talk about CGI. I'm all about VFX. I love it. But the thing is, there is an amount that is acceptable, and there is an amount of stuff that you can do in other ways. It's not all about the VFX and all about the CGI. Good VFX and good CGI should be, I mean, you gotta say they're good, and in Maleficent they were good, but the thing is, it would have been better had it not all been in CGI. It would have been better if it would have been complemented by live action or actual sets. And that's something Disney's doing a lot recently. They're basically filming their entire movies with green screen.
Which I wonder if they're trying to clear the way for the future, where essentially they want to get it to that point where it looks so real, but it's actually just a green screen. So I think Disney's doing this on purpose, is kind of like telling us this is the future, where you don't need to build sets. You don't even have to leave a studio house. You can just do this all within a studio, one place, and make a movie. And I mean, also I think they're doing it because, you know, it's a fad right now. I mean, look at the last 3 movies, or these, you know, every year they've come out with a movie like this that's pretty much just a CGI showpiece, starting with Alice in Wonderland.
Right.
And then it was The Great Oz.
Yeah, Oz the Great and Powerful. Yeah,
whatever. And then Maleficent. That pretty much, I mean, there's even scenes pretty much staring at a CGI character, telling the audience, hey, look at this awesome CGI character.
Yeah.
Like, they'll even take time to look at it for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay to do. I think it's okay to do. I mean, maybe that's because I come from a gaming background, and a lot of games do this. A lot of games take moments to like pause and look at this amazing art and graphics that we created.
Well, yeah, but that's video games. When you're doing like stuff, when
I
you're
know,
doing live
it's
action
not
stuff,
cohesive to a story or whatever. I get that, but at the same time, I mean, I don't mind it.
Well, see, the thing is, if the entire movie is CGI and it has no live action characters, that is fine. You know, that's okay. But when the entire thing is CGI and you basically have people acting on just green screen stuff, I mean, why are people not getting up in arms about stuff like this, like the Maleficent thing that I'm telling you about that was filmed with green screen, and yet they happily do that for stuff like, oh, I don't know, Star Wars Episode 3.
Because Star Wars fans are crazy and get upset at anything. Star Wars fans get upset at the fact that Han shoots first. Who cares?
Whoa.
I know, exactly.
Han
The
shot
point
first.
is, oh my god. The point is that it doesn't really matter, and it shouldn't matter. Like, I mean, I think it looks fine, and it worked out. It's come a long way, and Disney has a history of doing this. Oh, I mean, look at like Captain EO. I mean, they've been doing this type of thing since the '90s.
Yeah, I know, but
and it works out fine.
The actual 3 movies that you mentioned, the
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland, the Oz the Great and Powerful, and this one, Maleficent, they all have 2 things in common. It's not correlation causation or anything like that, but I'm just saying these movies were all filmed and they all had those superfluous special effects, okay?
Yep.
One of which, I mean, I can understand those special effects a lot more in a movie like Alice in Wonderland, because that kind of makes sense, you know? But the thing that they all also have in common is the fact that they were sort of meh. Like they were pretty cool movies.
Look, it's a formula.
They were decent
All
movies.
Disney is doing is making a new formula, which is crazy CGI, okay, rewriting an old movie of theirs, and then they get one star actor that stands out and they put him in the middle of the poster. Alice in Wonderland, you had Johnny Depp, you had James Franco in The Great Oz, and you have Angelina Jolie in this one. And you know what? All of them make tons of money, and they're all like pretty much exactly the same movie. So I don't think Disney is doing this, they're doing it to make money.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's quite obvious. I mean, it's formulaic, but it works. And I thought it was a pretty good movie, and hopefully it gets better as time goes on.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the same way about some of the special effects scenes in Desolation of Smaug. So,
Smaug.
Exactly.
Smaug.
But that's just honestly, that's just me. Like that's how
I get that
about it.
But like I said, this is a showcase of a fad, which is crazy CGI with 3D glasses, and maybe that's because I almost preferred seeing it in IMAX as compared to a smaller. Because if I saw this on a normal 2D screen, I'd be like, this is lame. This looks totally fake, and it's like stupid. Yeah. But the fact that I saw it in IMAX, I think, like, it almost felt like this movie was made for that. I mean, all the 3D effects, the fact that, I like, during a 3D movie, I like to take off my glasses and actually see if care was taken into what's 3D and what isn't 3D.
Right.
Because that plays a lot of it. A lot of the bad 3D movies usually just kind of lazily put 3D over everything instead of trying to add depth to every single scene.
Right.
Which is what 3D does well. And this movie was taken with care with the 3D.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even like the talking scenes, they try to add depth to it.
Right. And I mean, we mentioned this previously, and I think in the podcast before when we were talking about X-Men Days of Future Past, how we praised the fact that it mixed CGI and real sets incredibly well.
Right.
And that added a lot to that movie. So, I mean, again, it depends on your preconceived notions. So,
right. So,
overall, I would.
What do you agree with?
I honestly would agree with the Rotten Tomatoes score of around like a 50%.
I probably would go to like a 6.5.
All right. Okay.
But I would probably agree with your 5.0 if I saw it on a normal screen.
Right. Though again, the Angelina Jolie's performance, magnificent.
Fantastic.
Okay. Anyway, moving on to our Netflix movie spotlight, totally not sponsored by Netflix yet. We watched the really strange Escape from Tomorrow.
Which is also a Disney kind of movie.
It is a Disney movie. So on IMDb, it's got a 5.4. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 56% with a copyright infringement top critic score. No, just kidding. A 38% top critic score. And on Metacritic, it's got a 58%. It is directed by Randy Moore. It stars Roy Abramson, Alina Schubert, Caitlin Rodriguez, Jack Dalton, Danielle Safety, and Annette Mahendru. So, what is your one-sentence review, Cognitive Gamer?
A bad movie that has seemingly subtle profoundness.
Okay. I am going to go with a occasionally good but very spotty movie. Because you already mentioned the profoundness and you also mentioned the badness. So I'm going to say it was intermittently good, but it was quite splotchy in its delivery. Though some of the things are really clever.
I think this is another movie that suffers, like A Million Ways to Die, from extraneous factors.
Right.
The fact that they had to deal with Disney to the point where they even had to bleep out the name Disney.
Yeah, right.
And getting sued. I think that kind of like put a hindrance in what they're allowed to do or what they could get away with, because they're definitely bordering.
But they
borderline. But I know. It's a proverbial middle finger to essentially a Disney trip.
Right.
And I completely agree with that. After I watched this movie, I did some research and like people's takes on it. And
you realized that the main character who really liked the underage French girls was almost exactly like you at that one party where the chick started talking Star Wars.
No.
And you were really interested, and she was underage, and you were still interested.
No. Not even a little bit.
All that kind of stuff.
Nope.
Good times.
So, at least I don't have a crush on my brother's girlfriend.
Oh my god.
I hope he listens to this. Um, no, so essentially, like the top three theories going on here is one that this is like a proverbial metaphor for Disney.
How
I
so?
mean, there's a lot going on. It could be all
Yeah.
of these, a combination of all of these. So essentially, the whole point of the decapitation scene was that was Jim, the
Okay.
main character,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
died at Disney, and this is like this is like his ghost and imagination living through Disney.
That's really weird.
Exactly. And then, or like he keeps like reborning, like he keeps like living his own life over and over and over again. Like he's kind of like in this weird, strange hell or limbo that Disney created because he died at Disney.
That's really
Did you-
strange because I interpreted that scene of the decapitation from the Siemens and all dude and all that as a commentary on the mechanistic and rote and sort of almost robot-esque people that rule Siemens and Disney. You know, like these
Well,
people.
that's definitely commentary, right? Mixed in
Right.
with it. This is the overall story theory. That
Okay.
is definitely a theme of that movie as well.
Right.
That
Right.
Disney is this heartless corporation.
Yeah, where everybody's just it's robots. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of true. Everybody is robots. And they are heartless. But damn it, do I love Disney? Um, it's a really weird love hate relationship. But okay, so Jim was the one who died on the roller coaster, and he kind of went to like this weird limbo or hell, which his imagination created, which was Disney because that's where he was. And then the end scene of him being with like a new family was him going through that hell all over again. You know, because like that his hell is having to go to Disney life after life after life.
Right.
Which I kind of agreed with that one. That's pretty good. That's a good one.
I mean, that seems interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense of the decapitation scene.
Though the only thing that really puts a nail into that theory or kind of breaks it apart a little bit is the fact that when he was with the Siemens guy actually said that the gym that it was at that moment, the
mhm,
gym that was in the park at that moment was not the real gym. He said that's not the real gym. This is not the real you. The real you is actually someone else. And he showed an image of the real him with the chick that he had seen naked as flashes in one of the rides.
right.
And he said, that's the real you. And he's like, no, I don't believe it. And that's when he started ejaculating on everything with the tube.
Right.
Yeah. This sounds really weird to anyone listening that hasn't seen the movie.
It's really weird even if you have seen the movie.
It is.
So like or perhaps maybe that's the real him. This is like his imagination. This is like his fantasy of what Disney would be for somebody else. Like who the hell knows?
Yeah.
These are just
Yeah.
multiple interpretations. It's like Kubrick's The Shining, essentially. You can like grasp at these like very paper thin straws and try to connect it.
Right.
Obviously, there are tons of Disney references that are pretty subtle.
Oh, yeah.
I-
Wait, what was one of the other theories? Like you said you had three
Another
theories?
theory is that this is the son who has an obvious Oedipus complex,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
really creepy.
Yeah.
This is his son interpretation of what happened at Disney, and his father dying is like how he is trying to explain his parents' marriage falling apart.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, the story itself was influenced and I suppose inspired by the director, Randy Moore, who actually would visit his dad because
Right.
his mom and dad were divorced. He would visit his dad and they would go to Disney almost every single time that he visited, and his dad was an alcoholic.
Right.
So that might have a lot more credibility to it than.
And the screenwriter was obsessed with Disney. Is it Randy Moore who also wrote the screen, or no?
Yeah.
Right. So a mixture of both of those things, I think, really shines through. But really, the theme of it was just because you go to Disney, it is not an escape from reality.
Yeah.
And it is pretty much saying just because it is a vacation spot and it's the happiest place on earth, this reality of not having a job, of your marriage sucking, that your kids hating you, that you hating your kids and your life will still always be there, which is why Disney is an escape from tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean it's true. And also it also has to do with you go to Disney to escape and to go away, but to some people you're
Right.
there for a little bit of time, and after that, you just really want to leave.
Right.
You know?
So I think the movie is bad, but deceptively good.
Yeah, and and the movie had this, since the movie was black and white, and it
Black.
really the audio and a lot of the green screen special effects and all that type of stuff, it had this feel to the movie almost like it was filmed back in the day.
Right.
It was really weird because did you notice that a lot of the audio almost felt older?
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's because of the equipment they used because they were filming a guerrilla style, or if it's something they did in post production, but it felt like it was a movie that was filmed in another time. And a lot of the acting really played on that. It was, I don't know, that was definitely one of the really interesting parts from that movie, in my
Right.
opinion.
And Ebert loved it, and Ebert loves movies that have deeper meaning
Right.
besides what was being displayed. And I have to agree with that. Like, there was a lot going on here. But at the same time, it just wasn't that interesting or good of a movie.
Like, well, you see, it could have been a lot more cohesive, but I understand their limitations based on the fact that they were filming in Disney.
Right.
You know?
I almost want to see a movie about the filming of this movie.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like that documentary would be fantastic.
right?
Yeah,
Or just like even a book about like their experience filming this movie.
would be so cool, right?
Yeah, I would totally read that like in a heartbeat.
All right.
So,
So, what would you give this? IMDb gave it a 5.4, Rotten Tomatoes 56.38, and Metacritic 58.
it's so hard to give a rating to a movie like this because when you see itself, like I would probably put it at like a 6.0, 5.0.
Right.
But like the fact that it can spark this type of conversation, like I think should raise it up. But I don't know. But it's tough.
Yeah.
You know?
I would actually agree with you between like a 5 and a 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's yeah, I don't know, it's weird. It's
Yeah.
it's really weird.
It's like a movie that definitely could become a cult classic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Given the
So,
right circumstances, it definitely could.
all right.
All right. So anyway, moving on to new on DVD and Blu-ray and theaters, we have new on DVD and Blu-ray: Lone Survivor, Son of God, RoboCop, In the Blood, The Motel Life, The Pretty One, and Goodbye World. So I was actually kind of interested in seeing RoboCop.
Yeah, me too. I'll probably see that with my dad.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And new to theaters, as mentioned earlier on, we have Edge of Tomorrow and Tifios as the big two, followed by Obvious Child, and in limited release, Borgman, Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon, The Sacrament, Ping Pong Summer, Trust Me, and Anna.
The
So,
Ping Pong Summer.
really? The Ping Pong Summer and not Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon? Really? Really?
Both of those sound like those really lame movies you find in a red box.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Especially Supermensch when it's you if you think about it, you're like, wait a second, why didn't they just use the word? It means the same thing. They just replaced Uber with super. Anyway, so I will probably be seeing Edge of Tomorrow, and by probably I mean definitely. And
I'll try to see both of them, but
okay, yeah. I
I
will
don't have a
see
job
if I can
right
see
now.
both of them, but I don't know if I can. I mean, I read the Fault in Our Stars book because
Pretty good book.
I wanted to see the movie, so we'll see. We'll see. Anyway,
Okay. Anyway,
moving on to news, we
yes,
have the first bit of news is the fact that Josh Brolin is to play Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers: Age of Ultron.
I like him.
Yes, I do. I like him as well. Even an old boy.
Actually, I liked his acting.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's a great actor. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, next bit is that apparently Roland Emmerich is rebooting Stargate with a new movie trilogy. So,
So we have Brolin and Roland. Okay.
no. Do you know who Roland Emmerich is?
No.
He is the person that directed classics such as The Day After Tomorrow, 10,000 BC. No, well, he's a producer. He's the producer for all of these movies, including the Independence Day sequels. So, yeah, he did Independence Day. Obviously, as an executive producer, and he is the director of the 1994 Stargate, Independence Day,
Mhm.
Godzilla, the American Godzilla. All right. The Day After Tomorrow, 10,000 BC, 2012, White House Down.
So you're saying he has a lot of money?
I'm saying he has a lot of money, but and he's also very good at destroying everything. So I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, can we let Stargate die a little bit? I don't know, but we'll see how it
I never
goes.
saw it. I heard it was quite crap. Move on.
I enjoyed Stargate.
No, I'm
Anyway,
just kidding. I haven't seen it.
anyway, we also have a Metal Gear Solid movie that is being directed by Vogt-Roberts. So that is interesting. I mean, I know that a lot
Have
of
you played
people...
any of the games?
No, I have never played any of the
Okay.
games. I know that a lot of people wanted a Metal Gear Solid movie, and Jordan Vogt-Roberts, I mean, he is an indie director, so it's kind of weird that they're putting
Perfect.
him on an enormous film like Metal
Nope.
Gear Solid.
That's perfect. Metal Gear Solid, sure, it's kind of like an action-y game, but really it's about the human-to-human interaction, and a lot of that is extremely strange.
Right.
Like, really, really, really strange. Like, really strange. So, I think it's fine that they have an indie director, and it's probably better off that way.
Right. Fair. And
Okay.
next bit of news is the fact that Bill Condon is going to direct a live-action Beauty and the Beast film for Disney. So,
Is there going to be tons of CGI? Is that what's happening next year? They're going to rewrite history?
definitely.
Tale as old as time.
Look at the CGI.
That
Yeah.
person's now a teacup. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So I mean, and this guy directed Dreamgirls, the musical adaptation. He wrote
I
the
heard that was pretty
script to Chicago,
Oh, okay.
and he also worked on The Twilights. Anyway, Bryan Singer's accusations are dropped, which is interesting. So
He's not poking little boys anymore.
I mean, I don't know if he's not poking them or if he never poked them. We will see. But apparently, they filed a motion to dismiss. Anyway,
Okay.
Josh Trank, so the dude that did Chronicle and Fantastic Four, will direct one of the standalone Star Wars movies, and Gareth Edwards will as well.
Who's he?
Gareth Edwards?
Yeah.
Dude, Godzilla and monsters.
Oh, okay. Which one do you think he'll do? Do you think it's going to be like the tale of that beast on Hoth? Does that thing get a standalone movie?
I have no idea, but I'm interested in seeing Gareth Edwards' Star Wars film because that
I
would
bet
be
he does a
intense.
bounty hunter. Or some kind of like monster hunter. Maybe he does John Carter on Mars.
Maybe.
That's part of Star Wars, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next bit of news, this is all Star Wars right now. So, Star Wars added Lupita Nyong'o, how we were talking about the possibility of adding her a bit farther back, and also Gwendoline Christie from Game of Thrones. You might know her as Brienne of Tarth. So
Nope.
they are adding.
That's Game of Thrones.
So they are.
It's on my summer schedule.
They're adding both of those actresses to the cast, which is awesome because that about brings it on par with the male cast of the film.
Nice.
So also, it has been shown, or at least pictures and whatnot, that they are building an actual Millennium Falcon
Nice.
to use on the set.
That'd be cool.
As a giant prop. And that is awesome. All right, so anyway, we are done. So thank you all for watching. I'm Cool Guy, he's the Cognitive Gamer. Follow me on Twitter at The Right Pad. Follow him on Twitter at The Cognitive Gamer. You can check us out on Facebook, PostGrad Entertainment. Find us there, or on YouTube, PostGrad Games. You can check out our phantasmical videos on video games, and you can also check out our old podcast, and you can skip and hop and diddly squat around for any of the bits that you want to hear from the actual podcast with links. You can also email us at postgradentertainment@gmail.com. Please let us know if you would like for us to watch any kind of special movies and whatnot. Check out vpogames.com, our fantastic sponsors. And with that, I think we are good. So have a great day and a great weekend.
I'll see you back in Colorado.